All right, what's going on, everyone? We got to talk about Turbo Granny. I don't want to spoil it yet for anyone who hasn't read the chapter and is waiting for me to talk about the chapter, but something's going on with Turbo Granny. Turbo Granny has been in the background for a while, and she is relevant again. We're going to talk about it in a second. So yeah, I want to talk about, because this is something Dandadan fans have been, theorizing for a while, but, as I said in the thumbnail, what was she cooking, right? Like, what was she up to? And we kind of saw what she was up to. We saw a little bit, and we did get hints before she disappeared, but it seems like now we're going to get some answers. What's going on, Ahohite? How are you? How did you enjoy the chapter? Excuse me. While we're waiting on everyone, I do want to take a look at some anime rankings as well as manga rankings. Ahohite says today's chapter was peak. Okay. I thought it was a nice transition chapter, a nice like in between chapter, but for what it set up, it was perfect. And honestly, spoiler alert if you haven't read the new chapter yet, but the like casual introduction of Turbo Granny, I think was done really well. It was an interesting song. Let's see. There we go. Mohammed says the chapter was nothing short of peak. Okay, so we have 2 peaks out of 10. I like that. The art was especially good. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was anything crazy though. We got Eddie Rayman. What's going on, Eddie? How are you? Pleasure to have you. Also, Edens, if I didn't say hi yet. How you doing, Edens? Let's go. Anime, seasonal anime. Yeah, this anime season is very weird. We'll talk about it later. I want to talk about Dandadan first, but this is probably like one of the weirdest seasons ever. Never mind like weirdest winter seasons. Did you see Thorgy, his top 100 fighting games video? No, I don't even know who Thorgy is. Should I know who Thorgy is? They defeated the Walian. I gotta be honest, that was an unsuspected twist for sure.
Fighting games are
sorry. Didn't mean to spook anyone with the video. No, I've never heard of this person before. They have a pretty cool channel though. They don't upload very often. JH says, maybe it's just me, but I feel like the humpback whale alien is a nod to Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. I haven't seen that movie. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan. What would the reference be? Can you explain it basically for anyone who doesn't watch Star Trek? We got Justin in the chat. Justin, did the Bears win yesterday? Where are we? Oh, they didn't play yesterday. What? Hold up. Let's see. Yeah, they played Friday. I'm not crazy. They played Friday and beat the Eagles. Nice. Good for you, Justin. They won on Black Friday. Okay, cool. How am I doing? I'm doing good. I'm sending out videos to editors and just getting ready for the Christmas season, which you can tell I'm a little behind based on my calendar here, but that's okay. We're going to fix that. They now hold the #1 seed in the NFC. Yeah. Bears winning the Super Bowl or going to the Super Bowl was not on my bingo card, but I'm here for it. I think they're due for one. But anyway, let's talk about Dandadan. This chapter was definitely one of those chapters where it was kind of just like, you know, the fight's basically over, but we gotta resolve it, basically. That being said, Tatsu did add like a nice shock twist with the Tonkatoa alien turning into a whale. Kind of just referencing all of those like ancient aliens type theories that basically whales are aliens, right? Kind of like how squids are aliens, right? Other than that, this was nothing crazy. The characters just kind of reacted to it. They didn't really do much. Then the whale exploded like it was, you know, some crazy scene in Nantucket. But as usual, when the monster exploded, everything went back to normal and the town was fine. Dandadan's on break next week? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Damn. That's all right. We'll find something else to do on Monday. Well, we might make Monday and Thursday, for that matter, a catch-up stream, because I just read a bunch of manga and it's got me on a good streak, good momentum. So I'm gonna start attempting to catch up to. I'm basically caught up on Jump. I think maybe Thursday will be a Jump catch-up day, but we'll make Monday, we'll make Monday a weekly Shonen magazine day, because I'm like way behind on all those manga and I would like to be caught up in the majority of the manga in weekly Shonen magazine. Those are like the two big magazines. There's a bunch of other magazines, but those are really the two big ones. That and like whatever Square Enix has usually got going on. In Star Trek IV, whales were extinct in the 23rd century, and this alien probe is wreaking havoc on Earth, and the only thing that can communicate with it is a humpback whale. Oh, that seems weirdly convoluted, but I like it. Yeah, that would be like a nod, like a very subtle nod to Star Trek, because obviously there's no references to alien probes. Also, something I noticed in this chapter, I don't think it'll be permanent, but Okaroon does have a cut on his face now. I don't know if that's going to be a scar he carries with him throughout the story, but he does have it this entire chapter. Yeah, it looks like he got it from the last chapter, from when the alien must have attacked him. Yeah, that's pretty much it. They power up. They use the sword to attack the whale. Whale blows up. We have a moment between Okarun and Momo. Okarun, like without really thinking of it, kind of admits why he thinks Momo is so cool. And then Momo, after hearing all of that, just like finally admits that she believes in aliens. And clearly it's not like, you know, oh, I definitely believe in aliens, but it's more her way of saying like, I believe in you. So this little fight wasn't, you know, completely random. It did lead to some progress between the characters. But, you know, now we're in this realm of like what the heck is going to happen next. Which brings us to Seiko, because Seiko's obviously been out of the picture for a hot minute. And then like just very casually, Tatsu drops a huge twist and reintroduces Turbo Granny back into the story. And this is treated very casually. Turbo Granny, or excuse me, Seiko is just like, have you been eating? Right? They're both very relaxed. They're not like, oh my God, where have you been? Right? The fact that this is done so casually and it's not made to be a dramatic moment makes me wonder if Turbo Granny is even going to stick around. Like I don't know if anybody else was thinking this, but my first reaction was, I think Turbo Granny is going to leave again, and she was just stepping in to say hi to Seiko. Like, she's not going to stay. She's going to leave again. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. This was a very like vague scene, and the whole thing is treated like very casually. That's really the only way I can describe it. I just finished reading the Spy Family novel just before you started the stream. It was really good. What do you mean by the novel? Like, is there a light novel, a spinoff? Or are you talking about the manga? I am a bit behind on Spy Family, but I was letting it build up. I'll probably catch up to it again sometime this month, because I caught up to it in August. So I would imagine August, September, October, November. So in like the 4 or 5 months I haven't read it. It's probably, that's the thing, Spy Family, you never know, but I feel like it's probably gotten to a point where I can binge it and it feels like good enough, right? But yeah, there's a lot to think about with Turbo Granny here, because there was the Omake, right? The volume extra. Dandadan, Omake, Turbo Granny. I think it's the one for volume 20. So I think this was the last update we got. In volume 20, we get an extra story in Omake, as they're called. Turbo Granny goes to visit the tunnel where you know, she was possessing in the tunnel where all the girls were. She leaves a coffee and she leaves some flowers. All right. She does that. She basically goes on like her own little adventures. She buys some jump. She goes to either a grocery store or a gas station. She chills out, right? Walks by the scenery. She does like a little prayer for all of the girls that were in the territorial spirit, whatever it was called, the big crab. And then she visits this yokai, which I have no idea what it is, but it kind of seems like a reference to Yoru in Chainsaw Man Part 2, where it's like this weird owl looking thing. But she goes to meet it and it says, Turbo Granny, you look fantastic. And they have this conversation that implies they know each other. Turbo Granny says, tell me how to turn a miniaturized human back to normal. So, mind you, this was a while ago. I think this was last year. So, she calls this yokai Abura. This yokai is potentially the Abura Samashi or Oil Smasher. We can look that up later, but that doesn't seem super relevant to us right now. And there's the whole line about, oh, are you helping humans? And Turbo Granny's like, no, I'm not helping humans, right? She's putting on the tsundere act, right? But she says, just helping this human happens to align with my objective of looking for a certain bastard. And of course it references Count Saint Germain. Excuse me. I wouldn't say you're missing anything crazy right now in Spy Family. I mean, 4 or 5 months is enough for something to have happened, but especially when Spy Family is only like every other week, I don't think there would have been like a ton that's happened. When I stopped reading it, I was like mostly caught up. It was like right before they started a new arc with your whatever her name is. Like, of course I'm blanking on her name. It was like an assassin arc basically. There's a light novel with 4 short stories. Okay, I did not know that. I think Turbo Granny might stick around for a little while, probably long enough to give some info on how Momo can go about gaining her memories back before leaving for a good while. Well, that's the thing, right? Turbo Granny is in this very interesting position where she's probably like babysitting everybody. She's probably just like monitoring from a distance. But she wants to go do her own thing. I wonder if Turbo Granny will give Takakura some of her powers in the next arc. She can definitely do that, but I don't know. It really depends on what Tatsu wants to do with her character, because we have to think about her motivation right now. Fundamentally, what has Turbo Granny always been about? She's been about other people, like protecting other people. I mean, what was she just doing in this omake? She was checking in on the spirits of all those girls. That's her thing. She looks out for people. She puts on this facade, but really she wants to look after her people. So everything that she is doing is for her newfound family of Momo, Seiko, all that stuff. Excuse me one second. So when we think about like what Turbo Granny would do next, right? Like say, okay, well, Turbo Granny, you know, give powers to Okaroon. It brings us into this territory of like, well, if she thinks the best thing to do is to use them to benefit everybody, then she's going to do it herself. Like, she's going to use her powers. But if she is made to understand that the best way to protect everyone is to give her powers back to Okaroon, well, then she'll do that. But right now it seems like she's content on doing everything by herself. Otherwise she wouldn't be going on this side quest. Seiko coming back was the only good thing about this chapter. Guess Tatsu realized that barely anyone was talking about it, so he decided to bring her back just to generate hype. Jerk Alangel, or however you say your name, you seem to have a very jaded take on Dandadan right now, and you are entitled to your opinion, but I had the same opinion, and everyone was in my ass about it a few weeks ago. So however true you may be, the Dandadan fandom is still very passionate about Dandadan. Yeah. I actually haven't read the manga yet, so I'm assuming you're talking about Spy Family. I'll binge it after season 3 ends. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about Spy Family because I want to talk about the anime season because it's super weird this year, or this season, I should say. But yeah, Turbo Granny, that's her primary motivation, is to look out for her family. She does have a secondary motivation, which ties into that, which is Saint Germain, Count Saint Germain. For whatever reason, she is like fundamentally at her core against this character. And it's interesting because Tatsu is making very deliberate efforts to portray him in a sort of morally gray perspective. Like, he's at odds with his own faction, right? Like, the Red Baron is questioning his motives and his methods. He's declaring these motives of like wanting to collect everyone and all their powers, but then he also does like seemingly pacifist things, like making bread in a bakery and living as a teacher and like making efforts to make him and his people understand normal human life. And he's a very like just vague character. There's a lot of mystery around him, but Turbo Granny is this presence that constantly wants to make us think of him as an objectively bad character. Anytime he comes up in the conversation, Turbo Granny is fundamentally opposed to him just being anywhere in the picture. After the Space Globalists arc, I forget how it comes up, but somebody brings up that Saint Germain was spotted with all of the aliens, and you get this panel where she like glitches, basically, like she freaks out, right? So we don't know if she has a history with this character or if she just knows something about him that we don't. But Tatsu is making two deliberate efforts here. On the one end, he's trying to make Saint Germain appear to be like a morally gray character, but on the other end, we have Turbo Granny, who at this point is a pretty like morally pure character, like a character we trust and whose motives are not in question. She is fundamentally opposed to him, like even being in the picture. Like just the fact that he's present has her shook. So that being said, when we come to the question of like what is she gonna be contributing to the story, I could very well see her like not appearing in the next chapter if she feels like she has a disadvantage against this guy because she's so cautious of him, and that's why she's just making like very arm's length connections with the characters. Sorry, I was distracted for a second. Yeah, so basically those are her motivations. And as far as like what is she gonna do next, the only reason, if she's like fully back in the story, I think it's gonna be because she has the upper hand. Like she found her kryptonite against Count Saint Germain. That being said, it is very early again. We're at this point where Dandadan is like Chainsaw Man. We truly never know what's going to happen next. Exhibit A giant friggin' whale appearing. So yeah, good chapter. That's really all I have to say about that for now. Excuse me. I do want to look up this yokai though. The Abara Sumashi. The Abara Sumashi lives in the mountains. It's thought to be the ghost of a human who stole oil and fled into the woods. So we don't know too much about the Abara Smashi, the oil presser, but basically they're believed to be the reincarnation of someone someone who was reincarnated as a yokai because they stole either oil or some kind of valuable commodity. Particularly from temples and shrines. I wonder if there's anything else. They're extremely rare, only found in the mountains. Ghosts of oil thieves who escaped into the woods. Yeah, so it is an oddly specific yokai. I am kind of curious, like, why Tatsu decided to include this one. I can't really think of why this yokai would be in the story unless the antidote or the I can kind of think of two reasons. One, as the oil presser, maybe like oil has something to do with Saint Germain. I don't really know. The other reason is like this seems to be an older yokai, so maybe they would know more than Turbo Granny does, since Turbo Granny seems to be a more like modern yokai. I'm not sure. We got Oscar in the chat. Oscar, how you doing? Also, what did you think of today's chapter? We are just about wrapping up our Dandadan conversation, and then we're going to start talking about other anime and manga. We got Andre Partridge as well. How you doing, Andre? So yeah, very curious. I don't know if the Aburasmashi will pop up in the main story, but it is interesting to think about why Tatsu included them in the extra. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. On that note, I do want to kind of talk about the current anime season and then kind of lead into the upcoming anime season. Turbo Granny is back. The goat, I mean, the cat is back. I mean, she is the goat. Let's be real. Bro, you keep saying exactly what I do milliseconds after I send it, so it just looks like I'm repeating you. All right, who are you talking about? Are you talking about me? What did I say? What did I do? Was this chapter shorter? It was a surprisingly quick read. I think so. I just think nothing really happened. It was average length, 19 chapters. Or excuse me, 19. It was 19 pages, so average. I just think nothing really happened, so like you just kind of speed through it. There wasn't that much to really stick around for. Yeah, I was gonna say at the end of the chapter it pushes volume 15, but that's just the latest English volume. We're on like volume 20 by now. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. One Punch Man Season 3 Episode 8 actually made animation this time, but that's not enough compared to other episodes. So we're all going to overlook the art in this chapter. That's the second time you said that, so I'll take another look at the art. I don't think it was particularly special. I do like the stuff with the whale, but if I'm being totally honest, there was nothing really in this chapter that was like, you know, particularly better than anything we've seen. There's like, if I'm being honest, there's like the one good panel of the whale, but that's it. Yeah, it was interesting to see Okaroon in this chapter. He was just like so relieved to have Momo safe that like his guard went down, and he was just like very comfortable around Momo again. But yeah, let's talk about One Punch Man. One Punch Man at this point, like it's over. I mean this in the nicest way possible, but that the series as a whole is like it's so beyond peaked. It's like the people who like One Punch Man already like One Punch Man. The series as a whole, it's not going to gain any more new fans. People on the internet have made sure of that. The One Punch Man community has made sure it has gained the reputation as the most obnoxious anime community in recent times. Up there with the My Hero community, which is hilarious because the My Hero community at least the anime fans, are being uncharacteristically welcoming, forgiving, optimistic. There has been basically nothing but positive reception to the latest episodes of the anime for My Hero, and it kind of highlights that manga readers are often way more skeptic than anime viewers. I don't know how true that is. That's what seems to be the case with like mainstream shonen anime. I will be curious to see how that applies when we get the culling games, because obviously the culling games are good, but they are not perfect. OG, did you see the new trailer for Fire Force? The band they got for the new opening did an opening for another series? Oh, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. No, I haven't watched it yet, but I'll have to watch it. I would love to watch it in stream, but again, even like a 1-minute trailer will get me copyrighted, so I'm not trying to do that. Oscar, I don't remember you sharing this theory at all. It sounds vaguely familiar, but now that Turbo Granny is back, can we go back to my theory that she will teach Okaroon how to pick up girls like in her days? I don't think she really cares about that. I do think that would be kind of funny, but I don't really think that's in character for her. That's just me. I think the only other fandom that's been as critical, if not more, than One Punch Man is Dragon Ball, which sucks because I love Dragon Ball, but I get it. Can you name some specific examples? Like, are you talking about the anime fans, the manga fans, both? Are you talking about Super? Are you talking about Daima? Are you talking about the movies? Like, what do you mean? Because at this point, I feel like Dragon Ball fans are just happy to have content, especially God rest his soul, especially now that Akira Toriyama is gone. Like, anything new is just icing on the cake. I'll correct what I said. I don't think it's so much that anime fans are less skeptic than manga fans, but I think generally speaking, when a manga arc comes out, manga fans are very reactionary and have very impulsive opinions about it. But by the time it comes around to the anime fans are like way less hyperbolic about it, I guess. Like My Hero, right? This whole final arc, manga fans were ripping it apart, saying how bad it sucked, how bad this sucks, how bad this sucks, right? My Hero fell off. But then the anime comes out and everyone is eating it up. So I don't know. I think if nothing else, it shows that like manga fans tend to be very hypercritical, but in reality, the stuff we like to say is trash or bad is really actually okay. And I think it's fine to be okay. Example, Bleach. I was just about to bring this up. The Bleach final arc. Manga fans could not help themselves ripping apart Bleach, and even after it ended for like the next 7 years, everyone talked about it like it was nothing more than a meme. And then the anime comes around and everyone talks about how goated Bleach is. So I think some of it is nostalgia. I think some of it is copium, right? People hyping stuff up. But I do think generally manga fans are a little overcritical, or at least a little more critical than they need to be. No disrespect, but Dragon Ball and Pokemon, I literally, the core reasons it took me 10 years to get into anime. What do you mean by that? Like the fan bases were just so toxic? What do you mean? Both anime and manga. More recently with Daima as they started production on the series before they started writing a story. Right, so I guess my question, JH, is like, are you saying like the fandom is the problem? Like they're too critical, or they just have a lot to complain about? I'm curious what the fandom's reaction will be to My Hero's ending when SNK ended as a manga. What the hell is SNK? Why can't I remember what that is? There was a lot of drama, but when the anime ended, there was no drama. Will it be the same now? MHA is an interesting case because people were just making stuff up. Part of the problem too was like we got like the ending, and then when the volume came out, there was more stuff, I think. But yeah, people also were just like saying stuff that was completely out of pocket. I guess that's another part of it, is like when manga comes out, there's the whole like spoiler part of it, so people come up with stuff that hasn't even happened yet, and it's like all new, so people are just saying shit that like isn't even there. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. You're going by like the otaku names. Attack on Titan, yeah. When Attack on Titan ended as a manga, there was a lot of drama, but when the anime ended, there was no drama. The difference with Attack on Titan is I don't think people cared. I think the people who really didn't like the manga ending just didn't show up for the anime because they knew it was going to be the same. Plus, Attack on Titan was really bad about the whole like part 2, part 3 thing. So people were like very fatigued with that. My Hero, I think everyone is watching it for the most part. I didn't know there was more to anime than yelling because that's all there was in Pokemon and Dragon Ball. That is very fair. Yelling, and then in the case of Pokemon, like stroke-inducing visuals. Or not a stroke. No, yeah, a stroke, right? What the hell am I thinking of? I don't know, a stroke basically. Andre Partridge said, happy December 1st. Yes, happy first day of the Christmas season. What superhero anime is your favorite outside of My Hero or One Punch Man? I mean, if I'm being honest, I think those are the only two I've really watched. I guess if you count Ranger Reject, but that's more of like a Sentai thing. I don't think that would count. I don't like what the hell is the Chinese one that everyone was going crazy about? I don't like that one at all. Granted, I only watched one episode, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. Hello OG, how's it going? Hello Heroic Yasif, how you doing? Pleasure to have you. Welcome aboard. Can't stay here, I've got exams tomorrow. That's all right. Appreciate you just coming by to say hello. Always appreciated. Bleach isn't exactly a good example. The anime has changed a lot from the manga. Part 4 is supposed to have over 50% new content, and many people praise these improvements. Yeah, it's not the perfect example, but like people are also reacting to stuff that like isn't really fundamentally different from the manga, saying like it really comes down to just like everyone was trashing on the manga ending in general, saying like it was rushed, this character didn't get a fight, that character didn't get a fight, should have been this way, it should have been longer, right? But I do see what you mean, like, because they're adding stuff to it, so it's like it's not fair to say you know, people are flipping, because they are genuinely making changes. I do hear you on that. Today's Dandadan was peak cinema. Yes, it was a very good chapter. I don't agree that it was like a 10 out of 10, but it was good. To Be Hero X, yeah, that one I don't like the animation. Dragon Ball fandom asks for new stuff, and then when they get new stuff, they complain about it. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it's more just like Dragon Ball fans have certain unrealistic expectations. Like if you expect the story to be perfect, Dragon Ball has not had a perfect story for a very long time. Dragon Ball is its closest to being perfect when it keeps the story simple. As soon as it like adds all these plot twists and retcons and stuff like that, that's when people start being like, well, you shouldn't have done that because it messes with this and blah 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 blah, blah. Right? Like even the Broly movie, the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, that would otherwise be like a 100% perfect movie, 10 out of 10. But a good number of people had a problem with that movie because it added another narrative to what is now like 4 or 5 different narratives about Bardock. Some people like old Bardock better. Some people, you know, like the, what is it, the Zero stuff, whatever his manga spinoff was. And then you also have the other narrative that they did in the Granola arc. So some people didn't like the Bardock stuff. That's really the only one I can think of. Some people didn't like the retcon of Broly. Some people like old Broly better. But I mean, I think that's an example of like when Dragon Ball is when it's best, is like when they keep it simple, when they don't like try to rewrite everything or come up with like crazy, like insanely different transformations. Yeah. To Be Hero X has several episodes that are full 2D. You gotta get back on it. I might give it a second chance, but even the story, I thought the story in the first episode was kind of dumb, to be totally honest. But it could just be the animation. The animation in that first episode really put me off. Excuse me. For me, Dragon Ball should have ended in 1995. See, I'm not of that opinion. I am of the opinion that if you want Dragon Ball to just be Dragon Ball, that's fine. You can do that. You can treat Dragon Ball like it ended with Z in, you know, whatever, 1995, 1996. And you can ignore Super and GT and Daima and all that stuff. But if you like the new stuff, it's there for you, right? It's the same thing like if you're a Call of Duty fan, nobody's making you play the new games. You can appreciate the Modern Warfare games, like the older ones, and not have to like gaslight yourself into saying like the new ones are good. Just let people like things. To be fair, Daima wasn't that good anyway. Daima is like weirdly divisive. Some people really like it, and some people think it's like pointless or like not that well thought out. Daima is an interesting one for sure. Anyway, so back to the fall season. It is kind of a shame that Witch Hat Atelier didn't come out the way it was planned, because I almost feel like if Witch Hat Atelier had come out this season, not barring any production issues, it probably would have been like the most liked anime. Obviously, it would have been competing with My Hero, but even My Hero, with the really good reviews, is not like getting like crazy traffic. It's in the mainstream, it's being talked about, but definitely not as much as it has been in the past. One Punch Man, is its reputation is in the trash for good reason. All right, it's not totally unwarranted, but the fandom is digging that hole deeper than they need to. And then you have Spy Family, which is just chilling. Everyone's watching it. Nobody's really talking about it. It is what it is. It's like Dr. Stone at this point. If you like it, great. You don't really feel the need to talk about it. It is what it is. Can't wait for Jump Festa. Yeah, Jump Festa is in like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. That'll be interesting for sure. How was Thanksgiving? My Thanksgiving was very good. I hope everyone else had a great Thanksgiving as well. Hopefully you got to see your family enough. If not, hopefully you got to treat yourself to some good food. Have I ever seen Heavenly Delusion? No, but I know it's supposed to be really good. Which recent Shonen Jump manga would you like to see as a new anime? Ichi the Witch. Ichi the Witch, hands down. Ichi the Witch is going to be huge when it comes out. It's got a dynamite dream team creating it. Power duo. And it's just really good. Characters are good, art style is good, premise is interesting. What more do I have to say? Of course, Eden's probably isn't in the chat right now. Eden's would be losing his mind hearing me say that because he loves Ichi the Witch. That's why I'm not worried about the next seasons of Oshi no Ko. Everyone says that the manga is terrible, but I just don't trust manga readers after all of this. I'm gonna assume you haven't seen any spoilers. Oscar, I'm gonna let you tell me in chat what you think of the rest of the story when certain things happen. I haven't read it, but I like vaguely know what happens, and I'm just gonna let you find out for yourself. Justin's birthday is Wednesday, so that'll be a highlight this week. Everybody, we'll do it again Thursday in case we miss it. But everybody, happy birthday. Say happy birthday to Justin. Justin, happy birthday. I hope you have a great Wednesday. I hope it's beautiful, magical, all the good things happen to you. I bought this week's issue of Jump because Ichi the Witch and Kagurabachi. Yeah, that is a historic cover for sure. At least I hope it is. They're really taking their time announcing Kagurabachi anime. I'll tell you in 10 years when the anime ends. Fair. I also have faith as someone who's been an Oshi, who has Oshi no Ko in their top 10. Look, man, at this point, I don't really care about Oshi no Ko. If you like it, great, but it's just not for me. I'm kind of just taking a peek at like what else is going on this season for anime, and really not much else. It is kind of curious that we had that like Gintama spinoff and nothing really came of that. I want to see. It says it's available on Crunchyroll. Yeah, it is fully available on Crunchyroll. I will probably binge that. I keep forgetting about it because nobody talked about it. It's still going, I guess. It says it's going until December 23rd, so that would put it at like 12 episodes, I think. October, November, December. Yeah, like 12 episodes, give or take, something like that. I'll have to check that out for myself. I don't think that's going to be particularly popular, but we'll see. It's kind of it for this season. The only other thing I want to say is let's go to winter 2026. It is kind of crazy. If you look at Mal right now, Frieren is ahead, obviously. And then, crazy enough, Hell's Paradise is ahead of Jujutsu Kaisen, the Culling Game Part 1. So I'm assuming that's just JJK Season 3. It's not, like, crazy ahead of it, though. It's got a good lead on it, but it's not, like, crazy ahead. I also think that's going to change, but we'll see. It is kind of weird to see Hell's Paradise in that top 3, but I'm not totally surprised. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting season just because there is so much for people to watch. Frieren, Hell's Paradise, Jujutsu Kaisen, Oshinoko, right? Enough people are still crazy about Oshinoko. Fire Force is still kicking around, which when Fire Force finally ends, I think that's when people are going to pay attention to it. We got My Hero Vigilante Season 2, Trigun Stargaze, Golden Kamuy is coming back. I don't know. It says it's the final chapter of Golden Kamuy, so I think this is like the final season. You and I Are Polar Opposites is going to be a nice rom-com for everyone. Trying to see what else is out. The Darwin Incident, that'll be interesting. I think that's basically it. Gachi Akato will be officially over. It's supposed to end this month, I think. If it hasn't already. Yeah, so it's going to be a very interesting season, and don't quote me on it yet, but I have a sneaking suspicion Frieren is going to come out on top as the more talked about anime. But we'll see. Do you think mangaka had assistance as cheap, if you know, for easy authors, not lots health? I'm sorry, Eddie, I'm not really sure what you're asking. Now that Ichi and Kagurabachi are dominating the current jump, I'm waiting for a 3 series to do the same. Yeah, I mean, if there were to be another series to be like clearly more popular than everything else, I would say we have a new big 3. Nice, we got a new subscription. Welcome to the channel. Then I would say there's a new big 3. But even like Kagurabachi and Ichi the Witch, I'm still in the camp of like, I don't really think they're in big 3 territory yet. They are being pushed together, so if anything, they're more like kind of like the new My Hero and Black Clover. Don't ask me which one is which. But, yeah. They're definitely in a good spot right now, for sure. Do you agree that if Freerun gets 2 cores and gets the Golden Land arc adapted, it'll get a higher MAL score than Season 1? That's a tough call. Because I genuinely don't know where... Freerun has such a massive fan base and it is so absurdly popular that it's hard to really categorize or define the behavior of the fan base because the fan base has so many people in it. I don't know if they really like the slice of life stuff more or if they like the action stuff more. If they like the action stuff more, then it'll probably get a higher rating. I don't know. It also depends on how they pace everything. My Hero, ReZero, JoJo Part 4. A bunch of anime celebrate their 10th anniversary. Yeah, man. Congratulations. We're all old now. How does that make you feel? On that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream. Thanks everybody for pulling up today. We had another great conversation as always. Look out for a Dandadan video tomorrow. I'll also be doing a December update post sometime early this week. We'll stream... Oh, no. I actually have to... I have to rain check Thursday stream. I'll explain it in the post, but I picked up a part-time job, so my schedule this season and possibly next year are going to be kind of less regular. So we'll see. But yeah, look out for the update post and I will see you guys soon.